Hi, myself Ryan, and this video is regarding use of AI IDEs and AI tools for open source contributions. So many collaborators or contributors use this AI tool. So this video is particularly for how and which kind of AI tool to use for which category of open source project. So first of all, there are three different types of open source project. First is those targeting a minimal front end and a minimal back end. Secondly, there are those which are targeting a minimal viable product, and third, which are planning to scale their product. So for the first type of the project, open source projects, what you can use is you can use Lovable, or you can use V0 or Bolt or similar other websites which provide a one prompt whole website with a minimal backend. Personally, I prefer v0.dev because of some of its feature to directly change a particular component of the website. So like if this is the website, then in V0, what you can do is like you can go for the design section and you can directly select a particular component and ask for the change of that component directly instead of just prompting it in other way. So this was for the first category of the open source projects. For the categories who are targeting for a minimal viable product and have some amount of code, for those you can use VS Code Copilot, Windsurf, Cursor, or Gemini CLI, or other like Claude Code or other similar CLIs or IDs for that purpose. Instead of directly prompting the AI, instead of without any rules or without any particular strategy, would lead to a broken commits or PRs. To make a good commit, what you should do is like for VS Code, you should make a .rules file. In .rules, you should define all the do's and don'ts for the particular project. That would include don't use emojis in the commits. Also, don't repeat the function names. Also, you can say it like use modular structure or divide it into multiple directories before building it. So you can make a logical readme, or you could say like a logical rules file for the particular AI ID, or for the same purpose for the AI CLIs for this thing. How you can make this particular rules file is to like you can use any particular LLM, or you can use Claude, you can use Claude or Gemini or even ChatGPT. Personally, I prefer to use Gemini Pro for this purpose because Gemini Pro is quite efficient for making a plan or rules for the AI IDEs. These are for particular MVP types. Similarly, for Windsurf, we have .windsurf rules, which you can even see our given format by Windsurf here. Also for the cursor, you can use .cursor rules and can give a particular context by here. Like what you can do is like directly tag this particular file and then ask it to use this particular file for the basic structuring of the project. Also what you can do is like sometimes the AI goes out of the context because these IDE have a limited context. So what you can do is like you can make a docs directory in which you can make a multiple directory architecture for the documentation of it, which you can directly refer to the AI ID that you should use the particular docs folder for any kind of confusion, or if there is some name or some module to be used from this, then you can define it in the docs and it would refer the docs particularly every time. Personally, I like to use two of the tools here. You can use Cursor, but Cursor is paid, and if you want to use a free tool, then personally I would recommend you to use Gemini CLI. Gemini CLI I personally find very helpful, and it also provide like similarly as .rules. In Gemini you can make a Gemini.md. In Gemini.md you can make a similar prompt here that what are the do's and don'ts, and Gemini CLI follows it at a good extent, and it also provides you 100 requests per day. So it's quite like you can even use the free version of it. Then sometimes what happens is the open source projects gets bigger, and your target is, rather than like making a MVP, your target shifts to scale it. And Cursor, VS Code or Windsurf or any kind of CLI won't be efficient for that things, because giving it just a .rules would not suffice its need. So for that, I personally recommend you to use Kiro by Amazon. Kiro is like made for particularly scaling purpose. It has two different sections, which is a vibe coding section and a spec section. Spec section is for planning, and vibe section is for chatting and directly coding with it. For the spec section, you should define your complete idea here. What it would do is like it would make a particular type of spec or a plan for your project. It would make three different type of like an SRS document. What it would make a requirement, design, and a task list here. Requirement consists of a particular type of role that AI should follow, and what are the acceptance criteria, that if the AI writes a code, then what would be the condition on which the AI should be continuing with the next procedure. Instead of just randomly writing code, you can follow this structure by Kiro. So what it does is like it prepares a requirement docs first. As soon as you are okay with the requirement doc, it proceeds to the next, which is a design doc. What a design docs looks like is like it provides a complete idea and the architecture of the projects. It sometimes even involves the mermaid or the diagram format for the same. Then if once it's clarified, then it proceeds with the task list. In the task list, particularly what I like about Kiro is like you can use, what it does, it's like it makes the task and also defines the requirement to be followed. That you can see here that in the task 2, you can see 1.3, 5.2 and 5.3 is been listed. What it does is like it uses the design document, and from the design document it particularly fetches the requirements from this document. Like for the 1.3, then it would look for the first requirement and third part, that it would accept the particular task only if it covers this. Similarly, what the other requirements is there, it would be accepting on that basis particularly, and the tasks are quite good for the same purpose. So that's all for using this AI IDs and AI tools. You can even copy and like make the similar structure as Kiro in the rest of 3 by giving the dot rules to use that document format for the requirement design and the task list format. So that's all for today.